Just we're talking about schusim. I learned today in Shar Mitzvah, we said over in the shir, but in case anyone doesn't listen to it, just to share one dot. Shin Shapinka says that what does it mean that Kadosh Baruch Hu is nitzchias? What is eternity? I think this is something that, like, if you ever think about for like 2 minutes, you'll get a headache. So you stop thinking about it. What does eternity mean? It doesn't really make any sense. Says Hashem Shapinka is the following. Most people think of the following mashal. He's trying to explain what does it mean that there's schar, right? We know that one moment in Olam Haba is worth everything. What does that mean? What does that mean? We don't understand what it means. So he says as following. We'll say this mashal. We're starting Gimel and Beis, the two dots, 2 lines from the bottom. Today is going to be 20 amos being mamayit Deimer Tashem. This part should take us about 60 to 90 seconds. Says Shem Shavink is the following mashal. He says we think of the following mashal. There's a massive mountain. There's a massive mountain, thousands of feet up into the sky, thousands of feet wide, and there's a little bird. And the bird goes and takes off 1 dot of dirt. The bird comes back 1,000 years later, takes another dot of dirt. 1,000 years later, takes another dot of dirt. Will this mountain ever end? The answer is yes. In how long? Shem Shabingi says, in trillions of years. However, there is an end. Says Hashem Shavingis, this mashal is wrong. This is the mashal that we think of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It never ends. It's like you take 1 dot out of the ocean with a dropper. It's not MS. Because that eventually does end. Zaku Hashem Shavingis, like Kadosh Baruch Hu is eternity means it's more than trillions. And then he says the clincher. And he says, there's a second mistake. The second mistake is that we think, what is schar? We think it's the best pleasure on this world times 1 trillion. He says, you got it wrong. It's not the best pleasure in this world. It's the best pleasure in this world infinitely times itself times 1 trillion. Because in itself, that one moment is greater than everything, and that goes on forever and ever. So if we're ever worried about schar and einshim and all these good things, let's not worry about it. Kadosh Baruch has enough to go around. And let's learn a shtickle Torah. Chaver, it's good to be back. Gimel Amid Beis. Gimel Amid Beis, 2 lines to the bottom. We're continuing Chazarah. The plan is usually we finish the parak and then we do Chazarah. We have about 5 daf left to the parak, so we're going to do a good Chazarah now. And then when we finish the parak, we'll just do a Chazarah probably of the last few daf. But let's get there. Gimel Amid Beis, 2 lines to the bottom. Haisa Gavaya Me'esrim Am. If your sukkah is 12 than 20 amos, by now we know daf Beis, which was the sukkah 12 and 20 amos. We know of the Mekairais. We know of the Rav Yeshaya, the Rav Huna Amarav, Rav Chanan Amarav. We know of the story with Hilmi Amalka and the proof to Rav Yehuda. We moved over to Daf Gimel, and at Daf Gimel we learned what is the minimum size of a sukkah. Is it a machlekes beis Shammai beis Hillel, or it's a chvais shvat? Is it a machlekes beis Shammai beis Hillel, or is it a gezerah? That was Gimel Amid Aleph. And Gimel Amid Beis we learned all the different items that need to have a shein bias, a mezuzah, a maika, an erev, a chatzar, etc. etc. Now, at the bottom of Gimel and Beis and Chaver, that's the way. When you do Chazar, you learn the Amid and you try to speak outside the main few points to have it in your pocket. Says the Gemara. Haisa, the great Cooper was actually nervous I was going to make him read. I told him the other night we're going to read all of a sudden. Haisa Gavaya Me'esrim Ama. Let's go. If it's taller than 20, don't worry, Chaver on Zoom, you're not parted from reading. We'll get you too one day. Haisa Gavaya Me'esrim Ama. Uba Lemata. Bekarim ubiksasis. And you want to detract, you want to minimize your sukkah. What do you want to use? Pillows and blankets. Says the Gemara, Loi have miyat. And again, also just a reminder, we will still try, even though we're going to move a drop faster, we'll still try to translate. Feel free, write in the words, underline, scribble up your Gemara. I always say, look at mine, it's not a show, this is just the way you do it. And that way you actually remember it. Lo yahavei and it doesn't work. Why not? It says the Gemara on top of Dalam and Aleph. V'af al gav, and even though debatlinu lekulu, you're mevatel the pillows and the blankets for all 7 days. So why doesn't it work? Misham de batla daiteitel kol adam. That is not normal. It's not normal to put pillows and blankets on the floors, even though you said, "Oh, I'm going to leave it there." Guess what? You're being not normal, and therefore it's not considered bato. Therefore, it's not considered like it's on the floor. And therefore, how tall is your sukkah? Taller than 20 amos. Therefore, it is possible. However, Tevin, if you have straw bitloy and you said you're going to leave it there, that is, yes, havimiyot, that works. The kol shekain, you know, works even more. Offer dirt, ubitloy, and you said you're going to leave it there. So Tevin and offer dirt and straw, if you say you're going to leave there, that works. What's the shayla? Tevin, what if you have straw and you don't say you're going to leave it there, but you don't plan on removing it, or offer stam. You put dirt down, no intention at all. What's the din? Says the Gemara, this is a machlaikas between Rav Yosi and the Rabbanan. What's the machlaikas? The Tanan. As we learned in a Mishnah, Beisham Bayis, a house. Shemil Uhu, that is filled up. We'll read it first, then we'll explain. Tevin with straw yisrael racks. Ubillah, and you say, oh, the kogises are here. Shalom aleichem. Ubillah, and you say you're going to leave the rock or the stones there. Mevutal. Let's consider that it will be there. So what's the diuk? We don't even know what this Mishnah is talking about. For our purposes, actually, it's irrelevant. But the clear implication of the Mishnah is bitloi in Lai bitloi lai. It only works if you proactively are nullifying the item there. Vitani Allah. And we learned on it, Rabbi Yosi Aimer teaches Rabbi Yosi, Teven, straw, and you don't plan on removing it. Hare hu ke'afar stam. That is like stam dirt, ubato, and it's bottle there. Afar dirt. And you're going to remove it. So again, we have no clue what this Mishnah is talking about, but we see something very clear. There's a machlekes, 10 lines down. There's a machlekes, Rav Yosi and the Tanakama. The Tanakama says the mere putting it there is enough. If you're mevatel it works. You're not mevatel it, no. What does Rav Yosi say? No, you don't have to be mevatel it. Just not removing it is going to be enough. And that's the raya, that's the teretz, and that's fine. Parenthetically, almost, what in the world is that Mishnah talking about? Agav, it's talking about a din of Toma v'Taira. But if you think Toma v'Taira, you stop listening to the Gemara. So that's what we'll say after we know the Raya. What's the din of Toma v'Taira? The din is, if you have a mace in a house, the halacha is the entire house is permeating with Toma. You walk in, you're Tommy. But if there's no halal tefach, if there's no airspace in the house, then, which is similar, let's say you have a grave without an airspace, then the Toma does not stay contained and rather shoots through the roof all the way to the heavens. That is, Baruch Hashem. Just a shtickle soda. Did he get in the sushi?
No, the sushi's
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. The sushi's good. The Gemara is good. What's the problem? It's all good. Just watch your Gemara. That's more important than anything else. Good, done, finished. Leave it.
Fine, it's fine.
Leave it.
Tomorrow.
Oy vey.
You get new
Hi.
tablecloth.
Haisa Gavaya. Long way off, new tablecloths. Haisa Gavaya. Nachai Gemara. Let's go, Chevra. Dalit Amid Aleph, 10 lines down. The first one line is Teven. Haisa Gavaya me Esrim Amma. If your sukkah is taller than 20 amos, which we know is possible. But v'hutzin, the leaves, the schach, our yardim b'toichav amma, our yardim are coming down within 20 amos. So what's the question? Question is, wait, if we go by internal airspace, it's less than 20. So it seemed like it's fine. Says the Gemara, it depends. If the shade is more than the sun, ksheira, ve'im lav, psula. Excuse me, at the lower point. Very good. Thank you. Very important.
I have a question.
Very important.
I have a question here.
Very important.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. In the first Amud, we learned there's a machloikas. Why is it psula?
Good.
So according to the two, I understand this. But according to the one that says that it's kvietz, what does it make if the schak is under it? It's a kavua.
Beautiful gasha. Beautiful gasha. So, how do I know that there are those who ask this gasha? Because Baruch Hashem in the Wednesday Chabura, someone asked the exact same question. that now that you have Daf Beis clear, you can play out all the different things. As you're going to see now, it doesn't work with everyone. And the Meiri, the Ritva, their Ma'ir, this Kasha, and because of this Kasha, they say fascinating Terutzim. Terutzim are not as relevant. At every stage of this Gemara, you could ask it. And Mamish, every single stage, was it help that I put pillows and blankets? Who cares? It's still Kavua. What does it help? Whatever the reason you want to say, they say fascinating Tyrus. Torah is not as important. The important is the Rishonim deal with it, and let's move on. They say Lom the Shatayras. I can tell you the Torah. The Torah they want to say is that it becomes Ke'ilu, the Karka moves up. They say Lumdis. They say fancy Lumdis. So I'm saying, that's what the point is. They say fancy Lumdis is not going to really help.
You say the question is better.
Yeah, the question is better than Taras. The Rishonim almost speak out, and it must be. Some Rishonim say, oh, it's clearly not like the Shita. Says the Gemara. So if the schach at the lower point is Slasim Chamasan, it's Kshera and Lav Psula. Next case. Hi, sing about you Tvachim. It's 10 Tvachim to Avutzi Yard the Teichiod. And the branches go down within 10 Tvachim. Savar Abaye Lemimar. Abaye thought that what? That what did we just say?
I'm so sorry to disturb.
Yeah.
But again, what's the Gemara saying? Tzilos Meruba. Always schach has to be Tzilos Meruba.
No. What's the answer? He answered your kasha.
What is it?
It means the lower point schach is that. We're saying the schach are hanging down. So if at the lower point, if that schach is salas and muba, then it has a din of schach. If the higher point is and doesn't have a din of schach, that's what the Gemara is saying. That's mamish the next Gemara here. Says the Gemara. Now on the flip side, if it's 10 tvachim tall and the hutzim are yards and toichia, the schach is going within 10. We know 10 is the minimum size of a sukkah. Savar Abaye Lememer, mamish the flip side case. That what sucked Abaye? That if the sun is more, why? Because that's what makes it not schach. In this case, we don't want this to have a din of schach. Why? Because it's coming within the 10 tvachim. If it has a din of schach, it messes you up. Mamish the flip side case. Just think about it for a moment. Says the Gemara Ksheira. Amrle Rava says Rava, beautiful. Landis Gishmak. Guess what? Hadira Sruchai. It's a smelly, a stinky, a bad dwelling. Srucha ach. The Ein Adam Dar Bedira Srucha. You have all the lumdis in the world telling you why this little cubicle is a good sukkah. Guess what? You can't live there. Puzzle. Next case.
10 is that part of it is that because that's the minimum that a person would be in and be somewhat comfortable.
I know. That's exactly the desires of the Gemara. Therefore,
so it doesn't matter that whether or not it's plus minimum.
Meaning, even if it would have the right thing that the schach would or would not work, but the mice, the branches are hanging down, and you can't live in such an area. Exactly. Hi, Sagavua, let's go. The last line right before the pictures. Hi, Sagavua, Master Mama. Nachamo, your sukkah is taller than 20 amos. Ubana, bam. And you build in it, it's a platform. Kineged a doifen amsai. Opposite the middle wall, the doifen amsai. This picture, we'll call it the, I don't know, I'll call it the top wall. I don't know. The middle wall. You get the point of it. Point of the story is, if you're a menshi and you're on top of that platform, what do you see? You have three walls. Kineged doifen amsai panei kula. V'yesh ba'hechsher sukkah. And on the platform, there is a hechsher sukkah. What does it mean, is hechsher sukkah? Means the right size. Means very good 7 by 7 tfachim. Ksheira. Now, parenthetically, we pointed out in the past, not only is that area kosher, can you sit on the other area? We said fancy lumdus l'chayr. The answer is yes. And now we can appreciate it more. We learned in Daf Yud Gimel because of psal hayoytze misukah. We learned this fascinating concept that when schach hangs over the front, that front area, even without any walls, is kosher. So fascinating that some Rishonim want to say it's kosher. If you think about it, some want to say it's not kosher. You'll probably think about it also. But let's move on.
Interesting, your pictures.
Yeah, I have a little old school pictures. Baruch Hashem, my picture's a little bit dated. They didn't get into 3D back in whenever this Gemara was from. What?
Even if you say that if it's hanging over, that's kosher, but it's still about 20 hours.
Oh, very good. Very good. That's what other Rishonim want to argue. They say, very good, din of psal, but psal just says you have no walls. Here, you have no schach, because it's too tall. You can't sit on the extra area.
But those Rishonim hold that you could sit without walls.
In a regular psal, yeah. Regular psal, yeah.
That's Stam. Everyone holds that.
Machlekes, we're going to get there. Daf Yud Ches Emir Hashem. Says the Gemara, next case. Umin outside, you build this platform on the side of Yish Misvasa. It's Malikaisel. If from the edge of the platform to the wall is how far? Dalid Amois Psula. Pachas me'arba Amois Kshira. Frekti Gemara. What's Dalid Amois? My kamash malon, Dabrinon Doifen Akuma. Dalit Amais is Doifen Akuma. Doifen Akuma means the wall akum, the wall bends. Says the Gemara, that's your chiddush. Tanina. We already learned that in a Brisa or a Mishnah. I'm not sure which one. Bayis. I don't know. It's a Mishnah or Brisa. Anyone? It's anyone else? Someone? Quick fact check me. It's a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah. Thank you. Tanina, we learned in a Mishnah. A house. This is called a skylight, Chavra. You have a hole in your roof. You throw schach on the hole. Sounds good, right? But wait, where are the walls? The walls are all the way on the sides of the room. How does that work? The first time you go into some people's houses, they have these skylights. You're like, what in the world is going on? They got a skylight there, the wall's there. How does this work? So sometimes the answer is, by the way, it doesn't work. And they have no clue what they're doing. And they just macha shahakal, not a l'chaim even, ulay afshir, and get out of there fast. But says the Gemara, im yesh min ha'koisel l'sikuch dalet amos, which is about 6.5 feet. It's sizable. Psula ha'pachos mikan ksheira. So, frag to Gemara, why do we need our case? One second. Why do we need our case? I'm sorry, I sidetracked everyone. I apologize. Why do we need our case? Says the Gemara, Mao the Tamar the Hasmud the Chazi l'Doifen. Over there is Chazi l'Doifen. Why? Because the walls are good. Everything's good. It's just far away. We say Doifen Akuma. Avalacha on our case of the platform. So Chazi l'Doifen. It's too far. It's too tall. It's nothing. Aim alay. Kamash Malon is too tall. Thank you. Not too far. Thank you. Malay. Kamash Malon, it works. We'll take your question one more second. Let's just now lose the flow. Because the Gemara continues. We're 10 lines to the bottom. First line is Haisa. Haisa Gavame Chavam Anacha case. Ubana Itzva where Bam Soy smack in the middle. You make a little platform, a little box. So now, if yesh misvasa itzva for the edge of this box, uledaifen into the walls, arba amos l'chol ruach v'ruach, psula, pachas n'arba amos, shaira, frekti gemara, ma'ika mashal aminu daifen akuma, hainuach, it's the same case. Answers the gemara, ma'o, the same daifen ruach, I don't mean I have a ruach like Kameloi, kamash malon, we even say from all four sides. The next case, Nachma, we have to continue, it's one flow over here, 3 lines at the bottom. Hey, sabachusam yotfachim, it's less than yotfachim, so what do you do now? V'chakak, you dig, you chisel deep into the ground. You dig a basement, to make your sukkah 10 tvachim tall. From the edge of the part that you dug down, ula kaisel to the walls. How far? Gimel tvachim. Gimel tvachim. Why Gimel tvachim? We dalam amos because it's Mars kasha. Gimel tvachim sula. We turned over to dalam and beis. Pachais mi Gimel tvachim. It's ksheira. Says the Gemara. I don't understand. What's going on over here? Why are you saying Gimel Tvachim? Answers the Gemara. Over there, you have a wall. Over here, when it's less than 10 Tvachim, you're building a wall. Period. Everyone can breathe for a moment. Let's speak outside what just happened. Daf Daled Amud Aleph. The way you have to know Daled Amud Aleph is you have all the cases of Yisukkah taller than 20 amos, excuse me. We began by discussing pillows and blankets. We said it's no good. We moved on to rocks and stones. We said it's a machlekes in the event you just want to leave it there. If you're mavatal it for sure works. If you just want to leave it there, that's a machlekes of Yosi and the Chachamim, which is the din about Toma. Beautiful. That was the hard part of the Amud. The next part is easier. We have 2 different cases of the schach hanging into the airspace. So the first case is that when you have a beautiful sukkah just taller than 20 amos, does the schach hanging down machshir your sukkah? The answer is yes, if there's substantial schach, if there's enough schach to give off shade. If not, then no. The flip side, Kezakabaya, if it's 10 Tfachim, and now you want to parcel your sukkah or machshir your sukkah, do we also say it depends if the schach are giving off shade? Says Gemara, no. Here it doesn't depend upon that. Why not? It's a dira tzrucha. That's part B of the Amud. Part C of the Amud are all the cases that you're building your platform. So if the platform is against the wall, and you have 3 walls, and it's a 7x7, Givaldik, everything's good. If it's on this side, then what? It depends if it's 4 amas away from the opposing wall. Why? Taifin Akuma. What do you mean? We already learned Taifin Akuma in the case in the Mishnah Daf Yud Zayin of the roof that had a hole in the middle over there, that we learned the din of Taifin Akuma. Says the Gemara, fundamental din. Maybe by else you can't say Taifin Akuma because it's too tall. Kamash Malan, you could say Taifin Akuma. We then went to the next case. What if I have my platform in the middle? Taifin Akuma from 4 sides. Yes, that's the Chiddush. Final case, you get the Chakak. Over there, we only say Gimel Tvachim, not Talalamas. Why? Because you're creating the wall. Therefore, it's a din and Lavan. Chavar Amir Tashem Ramavi will remind me tomorrow